What's up guys, my name is Stoody and I'd like to welcome you all back to another video. And in today's video I'm going to be doing my round 7 tips for the 2023 AFL season. Now before we get into this week's tips, I'm going to go through and see how I went last week. So last week I got 7 out of 9 correct tips, so it's a pretty average week really. I feel like 7's about par. If you got less than 7 then you've had a bad week, but I think if you want to move up in your tipping competition you had to have got at least 8. It was a pretty easy week for tipping, and I got the two 50-50 games wrong. So we'll have a look, see what I got wrong. So I tipped Fremantle to beat the Western Bulldogs. 60% went Fremantle, so I just went the safer option, and they lose pretty easily. Had the game of being in Melbourne, I definitely would have tipped the Dogs. The other game that I got wrong was I tipped Carlton to beat St Kilda. Now that was a genuine 50-50 in terms of the amount of people that tipped them. So I went for the one that didn't win, and unfortunately that game was actually rigged. Carlton got severely robbed in that game. It's quite disgusting what Gillon McLachlan has been doing. Hopefully Gillon McLachlan is gone now and we start seeing some losses from St Kilda. So that means I have a total of 39 tips for the season. So doing pretty well. And also my overall rank on the tipping site is actually around 4,000th out of over 300,000, so I'm actually really high up in the rankings, so I might keep an eye on that because, you know, who knows, I could finish really high. So we're going to start off with the Friday night game. We have St Kilda taking on Port Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. I'm going to be tipping St Kilda in this one by 11 points. Now this is a defensive tip because St Kilda have 90% of people that have tipped them. I don't understand why. Honestly, if it was 70-30 or 60-40, I would have tipped Port because I do think Port are the better team. But because I'm only winning my tipping competition right now due to margin, like my margin is only 10 less than the person in second, but I have the same amount of tips as him. Most people will take a risk. It may pay off for them. But the thing is, 90% have tipped St Kilda, and I'm a lot more likely to suffer if I tip Port and they lose. So I'm going to just go St Kilda in this, just for the safe option, even though I think Port Adelaide will win. Moving on to Saturday afternoon, we have Brisbane taking on Fremantle at the Gabba. I'm going to be tipping Brisbane in this one by 41 points. 98% have gone Brisbane, which is insane, considering Fremantle were a massive premiership contender at the start of the year. So basically, Fremantle has some serious chemistry issues. It's not talent. They're one of the more talented teams in the league, but there's some massive chemistry issues there, which is why they're losing all the time. So Brisbane obviously starting to get going this year, so you got to tip them really. There's not really much else to say. The other Saturday afternoon game, we have Sydney taking on the GWS Giants at the SCG. So I'm going to be tipping Sydney in this one by 31 points. It is the Battle of the Bridge, so anything can happen, but really Sydney, they're the better team and they should be able to beat the Giants. I know Sydney got demolished last week, and Egg Footy had a massive cry because he tipped Sydney, so he tipped GWS this week. Like, is he all there in the head? But I guess there's a reason why Egg Footy is doing so badly in the tipping, because he makes dumb tips like that. But anyway, Sydney to win this. Should do it pretty comfortably at home. Moving on to the twilight game, we have the Western Bulldogs taking on Hawthorn at Marvel Stadium. I'm going to be tipping the Western Bulldogs to win this one by 56 points. Really, the Western Bulldogs should smash Hawthorn. They're just clearly the better team. They're at home, so there's not really much else to say. Saturday night, another piss easy one. We have Melbourne taking on North Melbourne at the MCG. It's the Battle of the Melbournes, so I'm going to be tipping Melbourne to win this one by 68 points. North Melbourne, they're going to start struggling now, I think. And Melbourne, they did have to win due to match fixing in the previous game. And they also lost to Essendon, so they're not in the best form, but I think this is the kind of game that they will get in the better form. The other Saturday night game, we have the West Coast Eagles taking on Carlton at Optus Stadium. Jesus fucking Christ, this is such a boring day of football. So many blowouts, it looks like. So I'm going to be doing Carlton to win this one by 50 points. I know it's at Optus. If it wasn't, I'd probably have Carlton winning by more. West Coast are one of the worst sides in the league. Carlton are coming off 2 consecutive losses, so they'll be desperate to turn it around. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a really big smashing. So Carlton should win that one comfortably. Moving on to Sunday, we have Essendon taking on Geelong at the MCG. I'm going to be tipping Geelong in this one by 36 points. Geelong have started to find some form. They absolutely demolished Sydney last week, whereas Essendon are severely overrated. They had a massive choke against Collingwood last week, as I expected. Even though Collingwood were down by like 28 points in the last quarter, I still knew Essendon were going to go on to lose that game. So surely Essendon will start to be brought back down to earth in the next week or two, and I'm sure Geelong will do that and will beat Essendon comfortably. The other Sunday afternoon game, we have Richmond taking on the Gold Coast Suns at Marvel Stadium. So the match fixing continues against Richmond. Richmond have been robbed yet another home game, and they're versing Gold Coast, who they are constantly robbed against. I was at the Richmond Gold Coast game last year when Richmond got robbed. So this is just a defensive tip. I'm going to tip Richmond in this by 2 points, only because 93% have tipped Richmond, or else I would tip Gold Coast, mainly due to the fact Richmond have a VFL team, plus this game will be rigged. I can guarantee you this. Unless Gillon McLaughlin's gone by the time Sunday hits. Hopefully he is. And if he is gone, I would almost consider changing my tip to Port just because he's gone. But anyway, tipping Richmond for no reason other than the fact that I don't want to lose a tip to 93% of the competition. Sunday twilight, we have Adelaide taking on Collingwood at Adelaide Oval. Surprisingly, this is the least lopsided tip so far, with Adelaide having 26% of the tips. That's the closest any team has got to the team that's the most popular. So I'm going to be tipping Collingwood in this one by 43 points. Adelaide looked terrible against the Hawks, and were very lucky to win that game. So I think Adelaide are pretty overrated. They had a good run, but they lost to Richmond at home as well. So you've got to remember that. And the fact is, that just proves they're not actually that good. Collingwood are one of the better teams in the league. They made Essendon choke despite getting robbed in that game. So Collingwood should win this and should win it well. So those are my tips for round 7. Feel free to comment your tips in the comment section down below. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Be sure to click the thumbs up button and leave a like on this video. Also be sure to join my Discord server. It's called Australian Sports Community. Link to that is in the description. Also be sure to subscribe to my second YouTube channel. It is called Stoody Archives. Link to that is also in the description. Also be sure to follow me on my other social media accounts. I have Instagram, I have Twitter, and I also have TikTok. The username for all of those is StoodyYT, and links to all of those will also be in the description. I hope you have had a good day, and I'll see you all in the next video.